Hello again. Today we're going to be looking at something very exciting and still under the term pollution. But I want to ask you this question. What degree or noise can you think can cause deafness or biological damage to man? What degree of noise do you think can cause deafness or biological harm to man? You know, noise, everyone has encountered this word called noise or this sound called noise. You hear it everywhere you go on the streets. You hear it also in terms of students. You hear it in the classrooms. Even at the office, you get noise. You go to your residential areas, you hear some noise playing from musical sets and so many other things. But has it gotten to the point where it becomes harmful to you? Okay, so to what degree, to what measure do you think it can cause deafness? Do you think it can cause deafness? Or is it that humans can cope with any degree or measure of noise? So now, before we go into what we're going to discuss, I just want to throw more light to this particular question. Now, noise is measured in what we call decibels. Now, every noise you hear have a particular decibel it measured in. For instance, as I'm talking to you, there is a particular decibel. The noise from the horn of your car, there is a particular decibel from it. The noise from your generator set, there is also a particular decibel that is measured in it. But there is a range or a limit to which man can hear. The noise, the limit to which the measure of noise that the human ear can actually entertain or receive. Anything above it can affect the eardrum, can affect the inner part of the ear and cause deafness. Now, what is deafness? When someone is unable to hear sound or to receive sound into the ear. We'll be discussing in subsequent classes, we'll be looking at sense organs, where we're going to be looking at the inner ear. We're going to be talking about the ear in general, the outer, the inner, the middle, and the inner ear, and see how sounds are being transmitted through these various parts, okay, and sent to the brain for interpretation and all that. Now, back to what we're saying, there is a particular degree to which the human ear can receive noise or sound, let me put it that way, to receive sound. Now, this sound, if it is above 85 degrees Celsius, can damage the ear. Above 85 degrees, not Celsius, sorry, above 85 decibel can damage the ear. Now, sounds that are up to 105 decibel can cause deafness, Now, in this topic, we will be talking and exploring noise pollution. But before we go into what noise pollution is all about, in that topic, we're going to be talking about sound. We're going to be looking at the different types of sound. We're going to talk about noise pollution. We're going to talk about noise pollutants and their sources. We're going to be looking at their effects and then see how we can control noise. Because for me, noise is so irritating, and I believe you agree with me. So we're going to see how to reduce these effects of noise pollution. Okay, that's what we're going to be looking at. But before we go into this particular topic, I want us to look at our specific objective. So by the end of this class, you should be able to define noise. You should be able to define noise. You should be able also to mention the sources of noise. Should be able to mention the sources of noise, which are called noise pollutants. You should also be able to mention some of the effects of noise pollution. And then you should be able to mention some ways noise pollution can be controlled. Noise pollution can be controlled. Now, let's start in this manner. Sound. Remember, noise is also a type of sound. Now, what are sounds? By definition, sounds can be referred to as a form of wave. Remember, sound is a form of energy, or you can call it a form of wave. So sound is a form of wave energy or wave motion which can be conveyed through an elastic medium from a vibrating body to a listener. It simply means sound, if you look at the definition, it means that sound can be produced, sound can be transmitted, and sound can be heard. I repeat, sound can be produced, it can be transmitted, it can be heard. Now, sounds are mostly produced by vibrating bodies, and they can be transmitted through these vibrating bodies, through what we call a material medium. It can be solid, it can be liquid, it can also be what? Gases, okay? They can be transmitted. That's why we talked about a form of wave. It can be transmitted as a form of wave, all right? For instance, I'm using my handset and I can talk to someone far from me using my handset or using my Android phone, okay? Now that communication is through a form of wave, okay? It's a form of wave. There is no link, or there is no solid connected to another solid. No, it is a form of wave transmission. Now, I said also that it can be produced, sound can be produced, sound can be transmitted, and then sound can be received in the ear. So when the sound is being transmitted into the ear, it passes through the outer ear, enters into the middle ear. From the middle ear, it gets into the inner ear. And from the inner ear, it goes to the auditory nerve, which sends signals to the brain. The brain interprets and then sends a feedback, or interprets whatever you're hearing and actually sends a feedback to the effector organs. Is that clear? So this is what sound is all about. Now, sound, there are two main classes of sound. We have what we call musical sound. Now, musical sounds are sounds that are produced by bodies performing regular vibrations. They are produced by bodies undergoing regular vibrations. Now, examples of musical sounds or bodies that can produce musical sounds, we have the flutes, we have the trumpets, we have the pianos, and so on. Okay? Now, these are what we call musical sound. Now, please take note, don't get me wrong. Musical sounds can also be termed as noise. They can also be termed as noise when they exceed a particular decibel. When they exceed a particular decibel and they become detrimental, when they sort of like create an effect, a negative effect on man and his resources, or plants and animals, it now becomes a noise. It now becomes a noise. So the first class of sound is musical sound. The second is called noise. Now, noise is actually produced by bodies performing irregular vibrations or disturbances. For me, I define noise as a form of disturbance, okay? Noise is an unpleasant sound, a disturbance to the ear, an unpleasant sound to the ear that creates or causes or provokes, if I may use the word, provokes negative effects on the listener. Anything that any sound that provokes a negative effect or disturbance or irritation to a listener is referred to as noise. So you can see and agree with me that there are some musical sounds there are some sounds that will actually be appealing to some persons as musical sounds, but to some other persons, it can be referred to as noise. Some examples of noise that is generally accepted, if I may use the word, includes collision. We have explosions, yes, bomb explosions. That noise, that sound can even make you deaf. We have guns, okay, sound from a gunshot can all, if it is close range to your ears, it can also cause lack of hearing, proper hearing. Car horns can also pose as noise, and so many other sources of noise, and we will be looking at them. Now, let's look at what we call noise pollution. Like I said before, noise is a disorganized and irritating sound that is not pleasant to the ear. So any sound that is not pleasant to your hearing, be it musical sound, can be referred to as noise pollution. There are several cases where some persons play loud music, even at home. To one person, it is seen as a musical sound, but to another, it is seen as a noise pollution because of the, because of the degree of sound that is being emitted. So noise pollution, I repeat again, is a disorganized and irritating sound that is not pleasant to the ear. Another thing you should take note of is the measurement of sound. Remember I said that sound can be measured in decibels. Now take a look at some of the common sounds, their loudness, and then measure of their decibel. Silence is number one. Now silence has no sound. In fact, when you are silent, you don't produce any sound. Now the decibel in silence is 0 decibel. Whispering, the loudness of that sound is faint. The decibel produced is 20 decibel. We also have talking. During talking, sounds are produced. The loudness is moderate. The decibel is between 30 to 60 decibel. Then we also have traffic on fairly busy road, not roads that are so busy, fairly busy roads. And we have the loudness is loud. We can call it high, okay? And then the decibel is 75. And then we have noisy factories, noisy factories and generators. We can say that the loudness is very loud or very high, and the decibel is 100 decibel. And then we have jet planes, pneumatic drills, and so on. The loudness is deafening. It can make you go deaf if you're exposed to it. And I told you that decibel range of 105 can lead to deafness. So for jet planes and pneumatic drills, their decibel is between 115 to 200 decibel, and that can be so disastrous to the human ear. It can lead to deafening of the human ear. Now, what are the sources of this noise? One source of noise is factory and industrial noise. We have factory and industrial noise. We can call it noise pollutants, okay? We can call it noise pollutants. So we have factory and industrial noise pollutants. It is gotten or it is obtained or sourced from factories as well as industries. We also have another one which we can call aeroplane or aviation noise. Now this type of noise pollutant is sourced from aviations or airports. You can also get it when the plane or an aeroplane is actually moving or flying, okay? Then we also have another one which is called railway engine or locomotive noise. Now this is the noise that is being generated or sourced from moving trains, okay? Moving trains, they make a whole lot of noise. Even when they are horning, they make a whole lot of noise, scary noises. And then we also have car horn and siren noise. Car horn and siren noise. I believe you've been in a traffic and someone is just consistently pressing the horns of the car is so irritating. That's a very big source, a very good example of a source of noise. Okay, so we have the car horns and then also sirens. And then we have high-pitched music. Remember I told you about it can be acceptable as a musical sound to some persons, but some other persons it can be seen as a big source of noise. So high-pitched music from loudspeakers or drumming. Okay, these are also several sources of noise, or you can call them noise pollutants. Also noise from heavy guns or cannon shots. I believe you've seen a cannon being shot. Even people that are close to where they shoot cannons usually close their ears, because such sound from the cannon can be so it can be deafening. It can, if you're exposed to it so many times, it can cause lack of hearing, proper hearing with time. So noise from heavy guns or cannon shots can also be seen as a source of noise. And then we also have thunder noise. Have you ever experienced that? Thunder noise, the noise from thunders and lightnings is so scary. So that is also noise. Can also be seen as a source of noise. We also have noise from generators, very irritating. Noise from generators. So noise from generators can also be seen as a source of noise. Now quickly, let's take a look at effects of noise pollution. What are some of the effects? Remember we said it is a hazard. And I told you that pollution is actually a hazard. So any type of pollution is a hazard. It poses biological damage to living organisms that are exposed to it. It poses a harm. Now, one of the effects of noise pollution is that it causes changes in behavior. Definitely. Causes changes in behavior. You might see somebody smiling, and after a while, because of the irritating noise, the person ceases to smile. Okay? That causes a change in behavior. Also, you can see someone that is actually calm, quiet, but based on exposure to noise, the person becomes so furious, so tempered. That is also, it causes change in behavior. Another effect of noise is that it causes loss of hearing or deafness. I have mentioned this before when we started. I said that constant exposure to noise above 85 decibel can cause permanent loss of hearing. Constant exposure can cause permanent deafness. Okay? Now, sudden explosive noise over 150 decibel may cause deafness. So please try as much as possible to sort of avoid constant exposure to noise, to noise. Most persons that are hard of hearing, that is, they don't hear properly, probably, apart from other causes, one of the causes can be constant exposure to noise. Number 3 is that it can cause emotional disorder. Definitely, it can make you sad. It can make you lose control. It can make you lack concentration. Imagine someone trying to think, someone trying to read, someone trying to take a nap, and all of a sudden you hear this terrifying noise from generators. And most generators are not in good conditions, and they are just steaming away. It gets so irritating. You don't concentrate in such kind of an environment. Or imagine yourself as a student, you're trying to read and you're exposed to such kind of noise. It will make you lose concentration. You will lose concentration, and it makes you so much anxious. It provokes anxiety. Okay, so this is also one of the effects of noise pollution. Now, noise pollution can also cause high blood pressure. It can cause hypertension. mostly among the elderly. It can cause high blood pressure. So it is always advisable that the elderly, those old folks, they should stay away from being exposed constantly to noisy environments. It tends to push up your blood pressure, spike it up a bit, and it is actually not really good. Of course, we know hypertension, if not properly managed or controlled, can lead to death. So one of the causes actually of high blood pressures or hypertension is actually noise pollution. Another thing again that causes effect of noise pollution is that it can cause general irritation or short-temperedness. You see some persons that are actually quite bursting out into anger, into temper, all because of noise pollution. Imagine a teacher in class and the students are making so much noise. Definitely you'll see the teacher with a cane trying to calm the students down and so many other things. Noise is actually irritating. It is in fact one of the major causes of short-temperedness. Now, how do we control noise? What are some of the measures that should be adopted in order to reduce noise? We've just mentioned it causes a whole lot of harm. How then do we reduce it? How then do we bring it to a barest minimum? One of the ways we can control noise, for me, is education. I repeat again, education. One of the best way to control pollution is education. Any type of pollution, be it air pollution, be it water pollution, land pollution, noise pollution, education is an effective key. They say knowledge is actually power. What you know is what you are able to own. What you know, you own. And if you have this knowledge that it is actually not good and that it has so many negative effects, and then you also know how to control noise pollution, it poses a lot of benefit. To the society at large. Okay, so one of the effective ways or measures to control noise pollution is actually education or public enlightenment. And we have several avenues to do that. Holding seminars through social medias and so many other ways. Another important way we can control noise pollution is legislation. Definitely, the government should set up legislations against the use of loudspeakers, mostly in public places. If this is instilled, it can also help to reduce noise pollution. Legislation should be set. And if for me too, legislation should be set against the use of high-pitched music, mostly in residential areas. And even in so many places. If you go to so many residential areas, you have clubs and so many other things that can be found there. Please, legislation should be made against the use of high-pitched music in residential areas, loudspeakers in public places. This will also help to reduce noise pollution. Now also, the ban of the use of heavy guns must be in place. The ban of the use of heavy guns, like the cannon shots, should be banned. They should be sent to the museum for us to see. It should be banned. The use of cannon guns should be banned. And also, use of guns in the streets should also be banned. The police, I think, should be well educated on the use of firearms. And if individuals must possess firearms, they should be licensed and cautioned or educated on the use of firearms. Number 3 is the use of EAR-MUFFS. among workers. Now, most persons working in industries and factories where heavy-duty machines are being used that creates and makes a whole lot of noise, ear-muffs is very, very important. Ear-muffs are very important to be used. It should serve as one of the PPE for industries as well as factories. And then also we have installation of soundproof in industries. Most clubs should have soundproofs. Most bars should have soundproofs. Where high-pitched musics are being played, they should have soundproofs. Now, soundproof helps to reduce the sound that is being produced outside for people to hear. Okay, soundproofs should be used also in industries. These are even in churches. Soundproofs should be used. Soundproofs should be used in their buildings. This can help to reduce or control noise pollution in our society and our environment. Also, railway, factories, and airports definitely should be sited far away from residential homes or residential areas. Should be sited far away from residential areas. Railways, factories, airports, they should be sited far away from residential areas. These are great sources of noise. Great sources of noise. Now, this brings us to the end on this particular question on noise pollution. But before I go, I want to take one question from the UTME that has to do with noise, and then one question from the SSCE that has to do with noise. Now, let's take a look at it. Concerning noise. Now, look at this question. One of the ways of controlling noise pollution in urban areas is A, by wearing ear devices, B, by siting industries away from residential areas, C, by planting trees on both sides of the road, D, that fuel should be completely combusted by engines. Now, look at the question again. One of the ways of controlling noise pollution in urban areas is, now, if you look at option A, they said by wearing earmuffs. Now, you don't expect everyone in the urban area or city or town to start wearing earmuffs to move around their businesses. Of course, it's going to cause more harm than good. So option A is not the correct option. Now look at option C. They said by planting trees on both sides of the road. It has nothing to do with noise pollution. Option D says that fuel should be completely combusted by engines. Of course, fuel are being completely combusted by engines. It still brings about noise pollution. So the right thing, or the best way to control noise pollution is by siting industries far away from residential areas. So the correct option or answer is B. Now let's take a look at the SSC and see a particular question that has to do with noise pollution. Now look at this particular question, very wonderful. They said the major pollutant around airport residential areas. The major pollutant around airport residential areas is A, dust. Of course, it has nothing to do with noise pollution. B, A, of course there is dust being raised. There's, of course, in the runway, but the major pollutant around airport residential areas is not dust. B, is not oil spillage. Definitely there can be a spill of oil while pouring oil into the engines of the planes and all that. C, they said noise. And then D is soot. Soot has nothing to do with it, but the major pollutant around airport residential areas, of course, is noise. So, and that is option C. Thank you for participating in today's class. You can practice more questions using your ExamGuide app. The app scores and gives a detailed explanation of all the questions at the end of your practice test. You can also learn particular topics of interest with different modes like study mode, mock mode, and even practice mode. It also has other features that makes learning very fun. Now, it is a must for all serious students. Download from www.examguide.com if you don't have it yet. See you in the next class. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels, hit the notification bell, and share the videos to your loved ones and friends that will benefit from it. Bye for now.